Now let's see the next question. So this question was asked in 2023. So let's read the question first. So the question says, with reference to finance bill and money bill in the Indian Parliament, consider the following statement. So we need to consider the finance bill and money bill. Now the three statement given. Let's see the first statement. So the first statement says, when the Lok Sabha transmit finance bill to the Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the bill. It is true. So to answer these questions, we should be knowing what is a finance bill. Then only we can answer these questions. So if you see the finance bill, so finance bill is of three type. The one is money bill under Article 110. The second type is finance bill first, which deals under Article 117 clause 1, and the third type is finance bill second, and this deals under Article 117 clause 3. So there are three types of finance bill. Now if you see that all money bills are finance bill, it's true, but not all money bills, not all finance bill, but not all finance bill are money bill. So this is also true. So we can say that all the money bills are finance bill, but finance bill second and finance bill first is not a money bill. We cannot call them a money bill, and we have seen which type of bill is known as a money bill. So any finance bill which is any bill which is containing all or any only all or any of the provisions mentioned under Article 110, this is a finance bill. Sorry, this is a money bill, right? So all the money bill will be can call as a finance bill. So in the very first statement, it says only the finance bill. It means talking about the all the finance bill, and it says it can reject. It means it also includes the money bill, right? Now if you see the differences between the or similarities between the finance bill and money bill, so the money bill and the finance bill first has two similarities. The first is being that both can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. Second, that both, that is finance bill and money bill first, both requires the previous sanction of president before introduction in the house. So this is the two similarities between money bill and finance bill first. Rest of the bill or other than these two, the finance bill first is treated as ordinary bill, right? It means so Rajya Sabha has power to amend or reject the finance bill right? A joint sitting is also allowed for finance bill first, right? So other than the two similarities between money bill and finance bill is that they only can be introduced in the Lok Sabha, that finance bill first and money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha, and both requires a previous sanction of president before the introductions. Other than these two, there is no similarities between money bill and finance bill. It means there will be an unequal treatment or a different treatment for the finance bill, and the finance bill first will be treated, other than these two will be treated as an ordinary bill. Now after this, if we come to the first statement, so it says that when the Lok Sabha transmit a finance bill, so here the distinction is not made which type of finance bill. Does it wants to say that the money bill or other than the money bill is transmitted. If the finance bill first or finance bill second is been transmitted to the Rajya Sabha, then yes, Rajya Sabha can reject the bill, but Rajya Sabha cannot reject the money bill. So the first statement is not clearly mentions which type of finance bill it is talking about. So on that basis, we can say that the first statement is incorrect statement. Clear? Now, if you see the this finance bill second, so finance bill second is treated as an ordinary bill. Ordinary bill. So the Rajya Sabha can reject, amend the first finance bill first also and finance bill second also, but it cannot amend or reject the money bill. But the first statement, the very first statement, does not making any distinctions at which type of finance bill it is talking about. So it only talking about a finance bill. So it may be a money bill also, because we have seen that finance bill has a three types of finance bill are there. Clear? So on the basis of this, the first statement is incorrect, right? Now, if we come to this, so this we can rule out the option C, that all three cannot be the answer, right? Now, if we come to the second statement, so second statement says when the Lok Sabha transmit money bill to the Rajya Sabha, it cannot amend or reject the bill. It can only make recommendations. Yes, it is true, and this also we have seen in the previous question also, right? When we have discussed the money bill. Clear? So second is true. So second is true. So D cannot be also answer. It means none cannot be also the answer, right? So this also is the D also has been ruled out. Now, if we move to the next, the third statement, that in case of disagreement between the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no joint sitting for money bill. Yes, it is true, but a joint sitting become necessary for finance bill. Now here in this questions, it has made a distinctions between the money bill and finance bill. So it talks about that money bill have no provisions for joint sitting, but the other two finance bill have an provisions for joint sitting. Yes, on this basis it is true. So we can say that our answer to this question is option B, that only two is correct, that is second and third statement is correct, and the third statement is been clearly distinction that the finance bill, money bill has no joint sitting, but the finance bill has a provisions of joint sitting, which is been true. Clear? So this is the answer to the question 6, with the question which was asked in 2023. So answer to this question is B, that is only second and third statement is true. Now if you see the explanation to this, so if you see that the article 109 says the special procedure in respect of money bill, once the Lok Sabha pass a money bill, it's sent to the Rajya Sabha for consideration. The Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject the money bill. It can only suggest recommendation. So on the basis of this, the second is true. According to Article 108, joint sitting of both house does not apply to the money bill. So third is also true. And why this first is incorrect, we have discussed that it does not differentiate between the which type of finance bill it is talking about. Clear? Now let's move to the next question. So the next question was asked in 2022. So the next question talks about which of the following is or are exclusive power of Lok Sabha. Now it is talking about exclusive power of Lok Sabha. It means in which the Rajya Sabha has no power or no role to play. So only those matter will be under the exclusive power of Lok Sabha, which is directly related to the public, because peoples, they are the direct representative of peoples, right? Now if you see the options, so to ratify the declaration of emergency, any type of emergency, it does not mention only the national emergency or president rule or financial emergency. It talks about any type of emergency that is mentioned in 352, 356 or 360. So does it requires a Lok Sabha only requires to ratify the declaration of emergency? No, it is incorrect. Why? Because ratifications of emergency, that is of any type of emergency, is done by both house of parliament, and this is to be done within a period of 1 month from their reassembly. It's clear? So the first is incorrect, right? But if we talk about with respect to the national emergency, so Article 352 says that the Lok Sabha has exclusive power in disallowance of national emergency. So Lok Sabha can only if Lok Sabha has an exclusive power that it can, if the Lok Sabha pass disapproval of a national emergency, that's even though if the national emergency has been approved by Rajya Sabha, and if the Lok Sabha has disapproved it, the national emergency will cease to exist. But in the declaration, in ratifications, in approving of the national emergency, both houses required, though both houses have an equal power. So one cannot be our, the first statement is incorrect, so this cannot be our answer and this cannot be our answer. Now we are left with either the 2 is correct or 3 is correct, right? Now if you see the, to pass a motion of no confidence against Council of Ministers, yes, it is true. Why it is true? Because we know that the Council of Ministers are responsible to Lok Sabha. It means they are only answerable to Lok Sabha. They are controlled by the Lok Sabha. So no confidence motions can only be moved in the Lok Sabha. It cannot be moved in the Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha has no power with respect to the no confidence motions. So 2 is true. So even if you do not know the third, whether it is true or not, so you can find your answer or you can mark your answer, that is 2. Only 2 is correct, that is B option. Option B is been correct. Let's see the third options also. Is this why the third option is incorrect? So to impeach the President of India, that talks about Article 61. No, the President of India is in election of President of India, the both house participates, and in impeachment also the both house of parliaments participate. It is not an exclusive power of Lok Sabha. It can be instigated by the Rajya Sabha also. The motion of removal of president can also be introduced in the Rajya Sabha, and the charges can be investigated by Lok Sabha. So both houses have an equal power in respect of the impeachment process. So because of this, the third is also incorrect. Now if you see the explanations to the given questions, so Article 352 of the Indian Constitution pertain to proclaim of national emergency. According to Article 352 Clause 4, the proclamation must be approved by both House of Parliament. So it says by that the proclamation must be approved by both House of Parliaments on the basis of the constitutional provision. The first is incorrect. Within 1 month of issuance. Once approved, the emergency remain in force up to 6 months and can be extended further by parliamentary approval every 6 months. It means that if at once the emergency has been approved, it will give a life of 6 months to the emergency. After 6 months, if the parliament want to continue with it, then again it has to approved. So it can be approved many number of times. There is no restrictions. Right? But each approval will give a life of 6 months. Clear? This is national emergency. Now if we talk about the 356, that is of the Indian Constitution, deal with the impositions of precedent rules. So according to Article 356 Clause 3, proclamation must be approved by both House of Parliament within 2 months. If approved, it remains in force for 6 months. Again, the approval for the precedent rule will give a life of 6 months, but it cannot be more than, or the maximum life of an precedent rule in a state is not more than 3 years. So it means that after 3 years, the state should go under the election. But there is no such restrictions with respect to the national emergency. Now if we see the next, so Article 360 of an Indian Constitution deal with the imposition of financial emergency. According to Article 360 Clause 3 Subclause B, the proclamation must be led before both Houses of Parliament. Yes. So on the basis of this, the First is incorrect and must be approved within 2 months. If approved, it remain in operation until it revoked by the president. There is no time limit on its continuations once approved. So, and there is no time limitations, and also not required and reapproval. Not required and reapproval by parliament, as in the case of national emergency or president rule, which requires a reapproval. But in president rule, it can have only for the maximum period of 3 years, whereas in the national emergency there is no maximum period for what period number of years or for number of times the national emergency can exist. Each approval, every time it has to be approved, and each approval will give a time of 6 months. Is it clear? So on the basis of this, we can say that only second, that is true, is the first is incorrect because of this, right? Now we'll see the next explanation why the 2 is true. So if we see the for the second, that Article 75 clause 3 provides clearly that the Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the House of the People, right? So no confidence motion can be moved only in the Lok Sabha, not in the Rajya Sabha, and that's because of this it says to pass a no confidence motion against Council of Ministers. So it comes under the exclusive jurisdiction of Lok Sabha. It can be moved by any member of Lok Sabha. Rule 198 of the Rules of Procedures and Conduct of Lok Sabha specifies that procedure for moving a no confidence. Clear? Now if you see why the third is incorrect. So according to Article 61, when a president is to be impeached for violation of constitutions, this is the ground for impeachment of president, the charges can be initiated either house of the parliament. So it can be done either in the Rajya Sabha or in the Lok Sabha. The impeachment resolution needs to be passed by majority of 2/3 of the total membership in each house, which is known as an special majority. So the impeachment of president is also not under the exclusive power of Lok Sabha. Because of this is incorrect. Clear? Now let's move to the next question. So next question was asked in 2022. Now let's see the questions. What the question says. So it says that with reference to Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, consider the following statement. So it is, now we have to discuss about the Deputy Speakers, and we know that the Deputy Speaker is been elected by the Lok Sabha amongst its own member. Clear? So the first is, as per the rules of procedures and conduct of businesses in Lok Sabha, the election of Deputy Speaker shall be held on such date as the Speaker may fix. Yes, it is true. And so the date of the Deputy Speaker election has been fixed by the Speaker. Clear? So the first is true. So we can say that this cannot be our answer, and the D is also cannot be our answer. Clear? So now we are restricted to the first and second, A and B, right? Now if you see that the third is common to the both, it means third will be correct. Now we only need to find whether the second is correct or not. If the second is correct, then our answer will be B. If it is incorrect, then our answer will be A. Now there is no need in examination. There is no need to go through the statement 4, which is through the options it is incorrect if we go through the A and B, right? So this is how you can eliminate and save a time in the examinations. Now let's see the second statement. There is a mandatory provision that election of a candidate as a deputy speaker of a Lok Sabha shall be from either the principal opposition's party or a ruling party. So this is an extreme statement or extreme term, mandatory. It is not mandatory, it is convention. It is convention that the deputy speaker shall be from the principal opposition's party. It is not mandatory. So on the basis of this, the extreme term used in the statement, so second is incorrect. So if the second statement is incorrect, so we have arrived at our answer, that our answer is A, that is 1 and 3. So out of the given 4 statement, only going through the 2 statement we can find the answer. If we use a knowledge based elimination method and logical based elimination method, so within a very short period we can analyze or we can come to our answer, right? Now why the third is correct, let's see. So the deputy speaker has the same power as that of the speaker when presiding over the sitting of houses, and no appeal lies against his ruling. Yes, it is true, because we know that the speaker, in terms of money bill or in terms of rules, regulations and procedure of house, he has a final word, and his challenge and his ruling cannot be challenged. So when the deputy speaker is presiding over the house as an speaker, so he will also have all the powers with respect to speaker. So the third is true. Clear? Now let's see why the fourth is incorrect. So the well established parliamentary practice regarding the appointment of deputy speaker is that the motion is moved by the speaker and duly seconded by prime minister. No, it is not been moved by the speaker, neither it has been seconded by the prime minister. The speaker only fixed the date of election of deputy speaker. It is not moved by the speaker. So on the basis of this also we can say that fourth is an incorrect statement, right? Now if you see the explanations to the given questions, so that it says that the date of elections of a deputy speaker is fixed by speaker, while on the other hand date of speaker is fixed by the president. So the president will fix when the speaker is election of the speaker will held, and the speaker will fix when the elections for deputy speaker will be held, right? So because of this we can say that the first statement is correct statement. Now see for the second, that there is no mandatory provision that the election of candidate as deputy speaker of Lok Sabha shall be from either principal party or ruling party. It is only by convention that position of deputy speaker is offered to opposition party in India. So it is not a mandatory, neither in the rule book of Lok Sabha nor in the constitution, but it is a convention practiced by political party to maintain an unbiasedness of a parliamentary ruling or Lok Sabha ruling. Clear? So because of this we can say that the second is incorrect. Now article 95 clause 1 says that while the office of speaker is vacant, the duty of the office shall be performed by the deputy speaker. So while the deputy speaker performing the duty of speaker has the same power as speaker when presiding over a sitting of house, all references to speaker in rules are deemed to be referred to the deputy speaker when he presides. So because of this we can say that the third is also correct statement. And it also says that no appeal lies to speaker against a ruling given by the deputy speaker or any person presiding over a sitting of the house in the absence of speaker. Clear? Now that next says that deputy speaker is also elected by the Lok Sabha from among its member right after the election of speaker has been taken place. There is no provisions and or established practice of moving a motion for his election by speaker, and it is seconded by the prime minister. So there is no such provision that it should be the motions or the should be moved by speaker for the election of deputy speaker. So on that basis the fourth statement is incorrect, and answer to the question is first and third only is correct statement. Clear? Now moving to the next questions. So the next question was asked in 2021. So let's see the questions. Consider the following statement. So again it has a 3 statement, and again we can use our elimination method. So let's see. In India, there is no law restricting the candidates from contesting in one Lok Sabha election from 3 constituencies. In India, there is no law. So this no law again is an extreme type, right? So a candidate in India can contest only from 2 constituencies, not more than 2 constituencies. So this is done through the law, right? As we know. So on the basis of this, this is an incorrect statement, because there is a law, and through that law the candidate is been restricted only to contest election from 2 constituencies, not from 3 constituencies. So yes, there is a law. So this is also can be rule out on the basis of extreme statement. So if we rule out the first statement, so we can say that this cannot be answer and this cannot be our answer. So now we are left with the B and D to the answer, in which the 2 is common. So we, without referring to 2, we can say that the 2 is an correct statement and the 2 is a very factual question. So in this type of statement or a factual questions, the UPSC generally give a correct statement, right? Because it's a too factual and it is not been expected from the students to know all these type of facts. So basically UPSC gives a mostly these type of factual question as a true questions. So in 1991 Lok Sabha election, Sri Devi Lal contested from three Lok Sabha constituencies, which is a true statement. Right now, see, as per the existing rules, if a candidate contests in one Lok Sabha election from many constituencies, his party or her party should bear the cost of by-elections to the constituencies vacated by him or her in the event of him or her winning in all the constituencies. So it says, if suppose that the candidate has contested from two constituencies and he won the from the both constituencies, so he will have to vacate one of the seats, because the persons cannot be a member from cannot be representative of more than one constituencies. So one of the constituencies he has to vacant. So the vacant constituency will conducted an by elections. So the cost of the by elections will be beared by the party on which he has contested. No, it is not been beared by party, rather it has been beared by the Election Commission of India. So all the election expenses conducting elections, by elections in the constituency or in assembly, that all expense related to administration process, related to transportations of VVPAT, related to electronic machines, voting machines, related to employment of an machineries over there, that all the cost is beared by Election Commission of India. And if it would have been a rule that that has been beared by the party of the candidate, then the party would have not allowed any candidate to contest from one or more than one constituencies. So this is also our incorrect statement. So third is also not correct. So D cannot be the answer. So our answer to this question is only 2, that is B. Is it clear? Now if you see the explanations to the given question, so you might be confused between the first and second statement. So let's see the explanation to this. In 1996, the Representation of People's Act 1951 was amended, which restricted the number of seats one candidate could contest in one elections to two constituencies. It means before 1996, there was a provisions that a candidate can contest more than seats, which can be seen in the Devilal elections, that is he had contested in 1901 from the three constituencies, but this was restricted by the 1996 Act, which is amended the 1951 Representative of People's Act. So there is a law that can restrict, and earlier also there was a law which talks about a constituencies contesting elections more than one constituencies. Clear? And whenever they have won more than one, the candidate have retained only one, the forcing bypoll in the rest. So it is clear that if any candidate contest elections from two constituencies, and if the candidate won both of his seats, then one of his seat has to be vacated. In 1991 Lok Sabha election, Devi Lal contested from three Lok Sabha constituencies. This is truly an factual questions. So basis of this, the second is true, and on the basis of this, the first is incorrect. Now if we see third, why third is incorrect? So there is no such provision that if candidate contest in one Lok Sabha election from many constituencies, then his or her party should bear the cost of by-election to the constituencies vacated by him or her in the event of him or her winning in all the constituencies. So there is no such provisions. In every case, the Election Commission of India bears the cost of elections, by-elections in all the constituencies in Lok Sabha and Assembly elections as well. So it is not a party on which the ticket the candidate contest, rather it is an election commission who bear all the cost. Is it clear? So the true statement is incorrect on this basis. Let's move to the next questions. So next question was asked in 2020. So the question says consider the following statement. So again there is a three statement given. So if we are in a positions to eliminate one of the statement, then we will be having a more options or chances to give our answer. So let's see the first statement. The President of India can summon a session of parliament at such place as he thinks fit. Yes, it is true. This also we have understood, and this also the question has also been asked earlier also. So yes, the first statement is correct. So the B and D cannot be answer. So 1 and A and C is the answer. It means second is incorrect statement itself if we go through the elimination method. Now the third, if we try to find the third statement whether it is true or false, then we can be in a positions to answer the questions. So that see the third, that there is no minimum number of days that parliament is required to meet in a year. Yes, it's true that the constitution does not provide a minimum number of day for which the parliament should meet. The constitution only says that the gap should not be more than 6 months between two session of parliament. It means that the parliament should meet they should meet within a period of 6 months, but for how many number of days they should meet, it is not been mentioned. So logically we can say it, एक दिन तो मिलेगा ही मिलेगा, but that is a logical, but we are applying, but that is not required, that is not provided, that the minimum number of days is not been given in the mentions in constitution. So on the basis of this, third is correct. Now we will see why the second is incorrect. So the Constitution of India provides for a 3 session of parliament in a year, but it is not mandatory to conduct all 3 sessions. No, the parliament does not mention any session, any number of sessions. It does not say that the parliament should meet for 3 or 4 sessions or 2 sessions. The only statement made in the constitution is that the gap between the 2 sessions of parliament should not be more than 6 months. And if the president is of a view that the gap is going to be more than 6 months between the 2 sessions of a parliament, he should summon the house at such place where he thinks fit. Clear? So on the logic of this, the first and third is correct. Now if we go to the explanations to these questions, so if we can see that Article 85 talks about session of parliaments, prorogations and dissolutions. This also we have already been discussed. The questions from this session of parliament, Article 85 has been asked previously also. So the president shall from time to time summon each house of parliament to meet at such time and place as he thinks fit. But 6 months shall not be intervened between its last sitting in one session and the date appointed for its first sitting in the next session. It means the gap should not be more than 6 months. So constitution does not mention that what number of sessions should parliament conduct, but it only says that the gap should not be more than 6 months. It means through logic, through this we can infer it that parliament constitution says that parliament should meet at least twice in a year, but there is no exact mention of number of sessions. Clear? Now if you see, the session of parliament are typically conducted 3 times a year to ensure ongoing legislative engagement throughout the year. However, the constitution does not specify a fixed number of session or a sitting date is not been mentioned. So on the logic of this, the third and the first is correct, but the second is incorrect. Now if we it does not mention the number of sessions conducted, but there is a convention that a parliament will meet thrice in a year, that is a 3 sessions. So the 3 sessions, the first we can say the budget sessions, that is February to March. So budget session is the longest and most important session of parliament. The primary focus of the budget session is the presentations, discussions and passing of union budget, which outlines the government's revenue and expenditure plan for the upcoming fiscal year, right? Now in the sequence, if you see, this is the first sessions. This is the second session of the parliament and this is the third session of the parliament. This is the budget session is the last session in the financial year. Clear? The monsoon session from which the financial is start. So it start from July to September. So primary focus of monsoon session is to conduct legislative business including passage of bills, discussion on important national issues and security of government policies. Then there is a winter session, that is November to December. The primary objective of winter session is to transact legislations and prioritize urgent matter and bill. So these are the three sessions, but these are convention. This is convention. These are not mentioned, but not mentioned under Constitution of India. Clear? So these are three sessions. Is it clear?